Hello, everyone, and welcome to 5 Questions with. This is our series in the HPC Systems community with some of our key exponents of the community. These are people that are typically either doing work with HPCC or with the community and helping spread the word, get others interested, and in the process help people as well. Today we have Sarah Fabius. She's been with our company in LexisNexis for several years now. She has been one of our most prolific ambassadors, getting people into the community, helping us with the community activities, and also taking initiative to even outreach other communities to build knowledge on HPCC and ECL, but more important to draw people into technology, particularly in areas that are sometimes disadvantaged or not as able to reach this type of levels. She has been doing some good activities with autistic communities or kids in the spectrum. So it is really a pleasure to have Sarah today here with us. As usual, this is going to cover 5 questions, more or less. And thank you very much, Sarah, and welcome to our series.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sarah, I have plenty of questions for you, but the first one, of course, is around the career selection that you made. What really inspired you? And we are always trying to get more women in technology. Technology in general is becoming more and more a fairly diverse field, which is very good. But still, there are some specializations and some areas in technology which are not as diverse as they should be. So it's always important to know why women decide, get the motivation, the inspiration to get into a technology career, because that might be the key to entice others to do the same thing. So what inspired you? Did you have any role model, a good teacher, or some other inspiration source to get into technology?
Sure. Well, I kind of fell into technology. It was actually purely by coincidence. There was a position that was open, and somebody had referred me in, and I went and applied and got the position. But it's one of those things where I was never really encouraged to get into technology growing up. I was never exposed to it. My high school didn't really have any programs or offerings. So for me, I never really thought about it. So it wasn't that I wasn't interested. I just never thought of that in the realm of possibilities. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about bringing technology, and different opportunities to, young students within the community who maybe don't have access to technology or programs that are encouraging them to get into that field. One of the reasons why I've stayed within technology is definitely because of all of the role models that I found within the field. At LexisNexis Risk Solutions, we have a lot of really strong female leaders, and I've been able to really align with a lot of them, and I've had a lot of good sponsorship and mentorship, and that's really encouraging for me within this field. So even though it wasn't something where I started off looking to pursue a career within technology, once I was there, I knew it's where I was supposed to be.
Very good. That's quite interesting. So it was more of a coincidence. But
exactly.
if you one of the things that I typically maybe I might not be right, but what I think is sometimes it's important to get young kids some exposure to someone that is in the field and someone that potentially looks like them, as if they can make it there, because that enables them to think that that's a possibility. It's what you were saying before. They now can think that they can become that person, and that it's part of their that's in the realm of possibilities. It's not just a remote thing. Many of these kids might not have anyone in technology in their families, so they might not be able to relate with anyone else other than with that role model. But do you have any piece of advice if you were to? So how is that you're trying to do some of these outreach activities and get those kids to truly change their way of thinking and perhaps have higher aspirations that they would have had otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of the biggest things is within technology, I think there tends to be this stereotype of what a technologist should be, how they should act. They should be introverted. They should be very heads down, writing code all day. They don't talk. Maybe a little eccentric. And I am trying to change the messaging around that. Right? There's a place for everybody within technology. It doesn't matter. Me personally, I'm very extroverted. I love people. I love talking. And typically you would think that you wouldn't find somebody with that personality within technology. And, as I started my career, there was a lot of people who questioned, why are you in technology? Why are you not in human resources or marketing? You like people. But to me, it was like, there's an opportunity for every person with every type of personality within technology. And you just kind of have to find where you fit in and how you help the bigger picture. So for me, I was fortunate that as I was going through my career, I was able to align my personality and who I was with the goals and the mission of the company I was working for. So LexisNexis Risk Solutions, I found ways to bring my personality and my skill set together. And I think it's important that when you're going into technology that you don't try to fit into what you feel society says a typical technologist would be. You have your own personality. You're going to have, skills and traits that nobody else has, and what makes you unique. And that's what we need, and that's why it's so important to have these diverse environments and cultures, and create, this workplace where everybody has these different, personalities, because that's really what makes us a stronger technology company. So just, be true to yourself, and don't feel that you're being pressured to be, something that you're not.
You are absolutely right. Yeah, I relate totally what you are saying. That's making the field more inclusive. I think that's key. Absolutely. So let's move to something that is more anecdotal. So tell me, what have been your most rewarding experiences when you have been doing these things, particularly with working with kids or young people that are either getting just into the field or that they didn't even think that they could get into the field. So have you had any experiences that are very rewarding that you could tell us about?
Yeah, I personally think every time I have the opportunity to do something within the community, there's value in that, and it's rewarding. But I would probably say some of the most memorable events that I've been part of was the first HPCC Systems sponsored ECL Code Camp that we did, and that was our 2-day coding and mentorship event that we hosted on site, and we brought in some students from a local university who were all on the spectrum, and gave them the opportunity to participate, do some coding. We did some mock interviews, and it was just seeing the responses from them, seeing how they reacted to that, especially having the opportunity to speak with some of the students after, see what they got from the event and what it meant to them. There was one student in particular who he went back and he spoke with the leader of the organization over at the university, and he came back and told us that this student was, he just kept saying he loves LexisNexis Risk Solutions. He was, he just fell in love with our organization, and I think it's because often, people who are on the spectrum aren't given that opportunity, but they're also just not treated like everybody else. And I think giving them the opportunity to come in and showing them that, they have value, that they would be a great contribution to any organization, it just opened their eyes to possibilities, and they were seen. I know that, another event that was, really meaning a lot for me was we had hosted a code camp one day last summer, and it was for a lot of after-school programs within the community that were underprivileged, underserved, and they all came in. There was, I want to say, probably about 60 kids or so, and they coded Python all day. They were on their laptops, and they did Python coding all day. And then at the end of the event, I actually had the opportunity to tell those students, hey, you're going to get to keep that laptop. And just the reactions from them, something as simple as that, it could potentially be what changes those students and changes where they're going in life, because a lot of those students don't have any access to computers at home, no laptops. So giving them access to technology and hopefully being able to say, hey, we believe in you and we want to, help and encourage you to continue down this road of technology. for me, it's rewarding to be a part of that and being able to make an impact on that.
I think you hit it right on the head there. It's the empowerment of people, and when you make kids feel empowered, they can truly reach other heights that otherwise wouldn't. Right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, but let's try to turn around the wheel of time, even though that's not really possible. So, if you, what advice would you give a young woman that is trying to get into technology, or if you turn around the wheel of time, what advice would you give yourself years back when you were just starting there? So now you're talk to your younger self, and what would you think it would be a good piece of advice to get them become successful eventually?
Sure. My advice, I think, for myself, if I had to go back, or to anyone starting into a career in technology, would be ask a lot of questions. Find out as much as you can about everything, and don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to be heard. Definitely, you also want to, make sure that you find a mentor or really more of a sponsor, as early as you can within your career. I was fortunate to find one, when I was into my career, but I think having someone, really early on is huge. Make sure that it's someone who has all these skills and talents that you would like to learn. So, identify somebody who you say, hey, they're really good at X, Y, Z, and I'm lacking in those areas. I would really like to align myself with them, so that I can learn what I'm lacking. And reach out to them and see if they'd be your sponsor, if they'd be your advocate. As a woman in technology, having someone on your side and supporting you through your career, it's huge. And I think the earlier on that you can find yourself somebody who will sponsor you and advocate for you, it's a really, really important thing.
I agree. That is a very good piece of advice. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's valid for everyone, not just for women, but yeah, it's especially important for women as well. So I don't want to make this too long, but I do have one more question. So how do you think the HP Systems community evolving in the next several years? What do you think on one side we can do to expand the community and make it richer? Again, diversity-wise, and also cover other areas and get other people into it. And also, just how do you think we will look in general? Do you think it'll still be there in 3 years? How about 5 years? How about 10 years? Of course, the technology will continue to evolve, but what do you think about the community?
Sure. So I think that the HPCC community within the next few years, 10 years for sure, is definitely going to look probably a lot different than it is now. And I think that's a lot around the fact that the way that technology is traditionally done today is shifting. A lot of stuff is going to this cloud environment. Things are expected to be faster and quicker. So I think that in general, with the way that the technology is changing, the community around it will change also. I, of course, expect that the community will grow. I expect that it will continue to expand over the coming years.
You're absolutely right, and we all have seen the shift in technology from, I would say, if there is a way to define it, it's probably from products to services, where your monolithic applications that you used to deploy in a data center, and you used to have these different specializations between IT to maintain the servers and application development to develop the application, and then support operations to deploy it and troubleshoot it, are blurring, and all of those lines with DevOps and agile development and cloud means that there is more generalization, or there are teams that are less defined. There are people that have less defined functions, and they all collaborate in the same team. And you're absolutely right. And HPCC is moving in the same direction, so it will become more of a service in the cloud rather than something that you deploy in a server and maintain in the same server for the lifetime of a server. That's true, and that will certainly change the composition of the community. I think you were right there saying that we will see a shift in the type of people that will use HPC and how they will use HPC as it moves to cloud environments. Myself, I hope that we have more diversity as well, that we see more different people join the community, different countries, different interests. Again, of course, plenty of women. I think there might be still a long road to go there, but it's a good objective. The more diverse the community is, the more I'm convinced that the more innovation we can get, because people that think different can build different things, right? And that's exactly what you want when you want to be successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so this has been great. I really enjoyed this discussion. I think this is going to be quite insightful for a lot of people. So thank you very much for joining this series, and I really, really appreciate everything you do for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.